In the vast expanse of sacred scriptures that have shaped human history, there are well-known passages that have become central to faith and philosophy. However, beneath the surface of these widely studied texts lie hidden gems, verses and chapters that are less explored but carry immense spiritual and intellectual weight. Today on Divine Mysteries, we embark on an extraordinary journey through these hidden corners of holy writings, uncovering wisdom that is often overlooked but remains deeply significant. In this first part of our series, we will dive deep into lesser-known passages of the Bible, the Qur'an, and other sacred scriptures. Our goal is not only to uncover these hidden gems but to interpret them in the context of both ancient traditions and modern life, offering insights that resonate with today's seekers of truth. Let us begin by exploring the Bible. Throughout its rich and layered narrative, certain stories and passages often take center stage: Genesis, Exodus, the teachings of Jesus in the Gospels. But what about the quieter corners of the text? What can we learn from those verses that are not frequently discussed in sermons or religious study groups? One such example comes from the book of Judges, an often overlooked section of the Old Testament. Nestled within its tales of the Israelites' struggles and the rise and fall of their judges, we find the story of Jephthah, a lesser-known figure whose story is both tragic and fascinating. In Judges 11 verses 30 to 31, Jephthah makes a rash vow to God, saying, "If you give the Ammonites into my hands, whatever comes out of the door of my house to meet me when I return in triumph, will be the Lord's, and I will sacrifice it as a burnt offering." Little did he know that his own daughter would be the first to greet him. This passage is filled with complexity. How do we interpret Jephthah's vow in the context of ancient Israelite culture? And what moral lessons can we draw from such a tragic outcome? Some scholars argue that this is a warning against rash promises, while others see it as a reflection of the deep tensions between personal desire and divine will. This passage forces us to grapple with the nature of vows, sacrifice, and the cost of devotion. It serves as a reminder of the unintended consequences of our actions, even those made with the best of intentions. Similarly, the New Testament holds lesser-known passages that are often overshadowed by the more famous teachings of Jesus. One such passage is found in the Gospel of Luke, in the parable of the unjust steward, Luke 16 verses 1 to 13. In this parable, a rich man fires his steward for wasting his possessions. The steward, realizing he is about to lose his livelihood, cleverly reduces the debts of his master's debtors, thus securing their goodwill for the future. Surprisingly, the master commends the dishonest steward for his shrewdness. At first glance, this parable seems to reward dishonesty, a fact that has puzzled theologians for centuries. Yet, when we look deeper, we begin to see that the lesson is not about endorsing corruption but about the wisdom of using worldly resources in ways that prepare us for spiritual realities. It challenges us to think about how we use the mammon of unrighteousness, our material possessions, and whether we are using them in a way that aligns with higher values and prepares us for the kingdom of God. Let us now turn to the Qur'an, where we find similarly underexplored passages that offer profound insights into the nature of God, humanity, and the universe. One such passage is Surah Al-Kahf, the Cave, particularly verses 60 to 82, which recount the story of Moses and Al-Khidr. This enigmatic narrative sees Moses, a prophet of immense wisdom, meeting a mysterious figure who performs actions that seem, on the surface, unjust or wrong. Al-Khidr damages a boat, kills a young boy, and repairs a wall in a town that refuses hospitality. Moses repeatedly questions Al-Khidr, only to be told each time that he cannot yet understand the reasons for these actions. Finally, Al-Khidr reveals the divine wisdom behind each act. The boat belonged to poor people and was damaged to protect it from being seized by a king. The boy was killed to prevent future evil, and the wall was repaired to protect a treasure meant for orphans. The story of Moses and Al-Khidr challenges us to accept that divine wisdom often operates beyond our comprehension. It teaches humility and trust in the unseen workings of God's plan, reminding us that not everything is as it seems from our limited human perspective. We could also look at passages from the Bhagavad Gita, a central text of Hinduism, where Krishna speaks to Arjuna about the nature of duty and righteousness. In chapter 3 verse 35, Krishna says, "It is better to live your own destiny imperfectly than to live an imitation of somebody else's life with perfection." This subtle yet powerful teaching speaks to the importance of authenticity and personal duty, or dharma. In a world that constantly pushes us to compare ourselves with others and measure our worth by external standards, this verse calls us to embrace our unique path, even if it is fraught with difficulties. The Gita's wisdom here mirrors the lessons we've seen in other scriptures: the importance of aligning oneself with a higher purpose, the humility to accept that we cannot always understand the reasons behind events, and the need to trust in the unfolding of divine will. These are timeless lessons that transcend any one religion and speak to the core of the human experience. Returning to the Bible, the book of Ecclesiastes is another text that often flies under the radar. While many are familiar with its opening verses, "Vanity of vanities, all is vanity," the book contains deep philosophical reflections on the nature of life, time, and meaning. In Ecclesiastes 3 verse 11 we read, "He has made everything beautiful in its time. Also, he has put eternity into man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end." This verse speaks to the tension between our longing for eternal understanding and the reality of our finite existence. It reflects the human condition of yearning for answers to life's ultimate questions while recognizing that some mysteries remain beyond our grasp. From these examples, we begin to see a pattern emerge across sacred texts, a pattern of wisdom that is often hidden, waiting to be discovered by those who take the time to look beyond the obvious. These less explored passages invite us to wrestle with difficult questions, to embrace uncertainty, and to seek meaning in the complexities of life. In many ways, these scriptures reflect the journey of faith itself, a path filled with moments of clarity and mystery, triumph and tragedy, understanding and doubt. As we continue our exploration in future episodes, we will delve even deeper into these sacred texts, uncovering more hidden passages and their meanings. This concludes our first step in uncovering the secrets of sacred text. We hope that today's exploration has sparked new insights and reflections for you. As always, we encourage you to engage with these texts directly, to read them with an open heart and mind, and to seek your own understanding. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We look forward to continuing our exploration in the next episode of Divine Mysteries. Continuing from where we left off, let us delve even deeper into the lesser-known passages of sacred texts, expanding on the rich layers of meaning that often go unnoticed. As we move forward in this journey of discovery on divine mysteries, we will uncover even more secrets hidden within these ancient writings. We now turn our attention once again to the Bible. In the Old Testament, the wisdom literature found in books like Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Job offers profound philosophical insights. But even here, there are verses that are less frequently discussed yet hold deep meaning. One such example can be found in the book of Proverbs, a collection of sayings attributed to King Solomon and other wise figures. Proverbs 25 verse 2 states, "It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, to search out a matter is the glory of kings." This verse highlights an essential theme present in many religious traditions, the idea that divine wisdom is often hidden from us, and part of our spiritual journey involves seeking out that hidden knowledge. The concept of God concealing certain truths challenges us to actively engage in the pursuit of wisdom rather than passively receiving it. This search for deeper understanding can be seen as a lifelong process, one that requires dedication, curiosity, and humility. In connection with this verse, we might also look at the story of Job, a book that wrestles with the problem of suffering and divine justice. While the broader narrative of Job is well known, there is a moment in Job 38 verses 1 to 7 that is often overlooked. After Job and his friends debate the reasons for his suffering, God finally speaks to Job out of a whirlwind saying, "Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements, surely you know. Or who stretched the line upon it? On what were its bases sunk, or who laid its cornerstone, when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy?" In this passage, God does not provide a direct answer to Job's questions about why he suffers. Instead, God reminds Job of the vastness and mystery of creation, pointing out that human understanding is limited when compared to the infinite wisdom of the divine. This is a humbling moment, one that reminds us of the limitations of our own knowledge and the necessity of trust in the divine plan. Like the earlier passage from Proverbs, this moment emphasizes the hidden nature of certain truths and the glory of seeking them out, even if full understanding remains beyond our grasp. Now, let us shift our focus to the Qur'an once again, as there are many less commonly explored passages that invite deep reflection. One such passage is found in Surah Al-Hadid, Iron, specifically verses 20 to 21. "Know that the life of this world is but amusement and diversion and adornment and boasting to one another and competition and increase of wealth and children. Like the example of rain whose resulting plant growth pleases the tillers. Then it dries and you see it turned yellow, then it becomes debris. And in the hereafter is severe punishment and forgiveness from Allah and approval. And what is the worldly life except the enjoyment of delusion?" These verses provide a stark reminder of the fleeting nature of worldly pursuits and pleasures. The imagery of the rain and the plant growth, which is initially pleasing but ultimately fades and decays, serves as a metaphor for the temporary nature of life in this world. This passage calls upon believers to focus not on the material, transient aspects of life but on what is eternal and enduring: the soul, faith, and the pursuit of righteousness. The Qur'an consistently emphasizes the need for a balance between living in the world and preparing for the hereafter, and this passage brings that message into sharp focus, reminding us that much of what we chase in life is illusory. In a similar vein, the Bhagavad Gita, another ancient and revered text, contains lesser-known teachings that echo the same themes of impermanence and detachment. In chapter 2 verse 22, Krishna explains to Arjuna, "Just as a person sheds worn-out garments and wears new ones, similarly, the soul casts off its worn-out body and enters a new one." This metaphor of the body as a garment and the soul as something eternal that transcends the physical form is a powerful reminder of the impermanence of the material world and the enduring nature of the spiritual realm. The Gita's teachings, like those of the Qur'an and the Bible, call upon us to rise above the distractions and desires of the world and to focus on what is truly meaningful. In a society that places so much emphasis on outward success, wealth, and status, these ancient scriptures offer a countercultural perspective, one that values inner growth, moral integrity, and spiritual progress above all else. Returning to the Bible, the epistles of the New Testament offer numerous teachings that, while often less highlighted than the Gospels, provide profound guidance for living a life of faith. In the book of James, for example, we encounter a powerful message about the relationship between faith and works. James 2 verses 14 to 17 states, "What good is it, my brothers, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can that faith save him? If a brother or sister is poorly clothed and lacking in daily food, and one of you says to them, 'Go in peace, be warmed and filled,' without giving them the things needed for the body, what good is that? So also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead." This passage challenges the idea that faith alone is sufficient without action. It calls believers to live out their faith through tangible acts of kindness, charity, and service to others. While the doctrine of salvation by faith alone is central to much of Christian theology, the Epistle of James reminds us that faith must be accompanied by action if it is to be meaningful and transformative. This teaching resonates deeply with the ethical imperatives found in other sacred texts, such as the call to charity in Islam, zakat, or the emphasis on selfless service in Hinduism. Let us now explore a lesser-known passage from the Talmud, one of the central texts of Rabbinic Judaism. In Tractate Barakat 60b, we find a prayer that is recited upon waking in the morning: "Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who restores my soul to me with mercy, great is your faithfulness." This simple yet profound prayer expresses gratitude for the gift of life and the daily renewal of the soul. It reminds us that each day is an opportunity to begin anew, to live with intention and purpose. The theme of daily renewal and gratitude for life is a recurring one in many religious traditions. Whether it is the morning prayers in Judaism, the 5 daily prayers in Islam, or the practice of mindfulness and meditation in Buddhism, sacred texts remind us of the importance of pausing regularly to reflect on the gift of life and to recommit ourselves to living in alignment with our highest values. One more text that we will consider is the Tao Te Ching, a foundational text of Taoism attributed to Laozi. While much of the Tao Te Ching is focused on the nature of the Tao, or the way, there are passages that offer practical wisdom for living in harmony with the world. In chapter 48, Laozi writes, "In the pursuit of knowledge, every day something is added. In the practice of the Tao, every day something is dropped. Less and less do you need to force things until finally, you arrive at non-action. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone." This concept of Wu Wei or non-action is central to Taoist philosophy. It is the idea that we should not force or struggle against the natural flow of life but instead align ourselves with it, allowing things to unfold naturally. This teaching offers a counterbalance to the drive for control and domination that is so prevalent in much of modern life. It encourages us to practice patience, to cultivate inner peace, and to trust in the wisdom of the natural order. As we reflect on these passages from various sacred texts, we begin to see a common thread running through them: a call to live with humility, mindfulness, and a deep awareness of the impermanence of life. Whether it is the teachings of the Bible, the Qur'an, the Bhagavad Gita, or the Tao Te Ching, we are reminded that the pursuit of material success and worldly achievements is fleeting, and that true wisdom lies in cultivating inner peace, compassion, and a connection to the divine. This concludes the second part of our exploration into the lesser-known passages of sacred texts. In our next episode of Divine Mysteries, we will continue to uncover more hidden wisdom from these ancient writings, seeking to draw out lessons that are as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery. May these teachings inspire you to seek deeper understanding and to live with purpose and intention.